I was just wondering if I'm protected, if I'm really protected, or if that's just some kind of a window dressing word that they put on my YouTube account. I figure that if I were protected, then I wouldn't need to ask Jon Stewart what sex was like with my music groupies when he doesn't know how to write a song. And that is not the case for me, is it? And I figure that if I were protected, news programs like Dateline would ask me to sign a release form before they played my music on their news broadcast and featured my life as the main story of their news broadcast every day for 2 years. And that's not the case either. And so maybe if I am protected, that protection has been gamed somehow to work against me. I figure that if I were protected, I wouldn't be looking at a copyright issues page that lists hundreds of violations of my copyright, and I wouldn't be discussing hundreds of violations of my image in my statements of the last 8 years. Protected, that means you protect my copyright and my image, and all I see are violation after violation of my copyright and image, going back to my earliest days on the internet. And to the point where now the crowd, a lot of the crowd, want the frauds in my place. They've gotten used to the frauds, they got to know the frauds. They associate my love that I put into my work with them, and they think they're the lovable ones with my work. And it's so I've even had millions of people who would normally be my fans turned against me. And does that happen to someone who's protected? Above all, I wasn't protected from people who wear elegant business suits when they committed crimes with my work. It looks to me like they were allowed to get away with committing crimes and pass the fault on to me, the victim, because I wasn't as well dressed as they are. And I wasn't protected from everyone giving up on me all the time because I won't hurry up and get on a stage and perform when I don't know if I still have another hit song in the back of my brain that remains to be rewritten, that I will lose forever as soon as I start trying to make a career out of the music I have now. Maybe it's time to examine this protection a little more closely and find out if it really protects me, or if maybe it isn't more like some sort of exploitation system that exploits me. Maybe we should examine it and find out if it hasn't been gamed to pass all of my success into the hands of frauds, just as my web pages are. Every time I go on the internet and click long enough and see that someone else's face is appearing in my lyrics index or in my poetry index, or to see that all my page views have been, for a new video, have been passed over to someone else to use on his video and to charge money for them with his commercials. Because if you're going to say that I'm protected, well, I would like to have more than just this bare bones existence from it after writing all those popular works of comedy and music? Who's protecting me from the hot sun out here after millions and millions of dollars were made for my music and comedy, and I'm left to get my food out of a soup line like I am today? And who's protecting me from the assaults on my image that I always receive from the guilt by association that they like to use against me when I'm standing in line with people who just got out of jail to go get something to eat? Is anyone protecting me from that? Who's protecting me from being beset by thousands of greedy seagulls? Thousands. Will the real Charles please stand up? The real Charles the Gull. Now you can see where I get my inspiration for some of my cartoons about Wally the street squirrel. Who's protecting me from the loss of credibility sustained by someone who might have to attend this clinic here, a clinic for people suffering from disabilities? In my case, a disability that was caused by the brutality with which I was treated by the broadcast industry and its crooked stars. Who's protecting me from coming out of this clinic after I just finished speaking with the doctor and then bumping into someone who violated my music in 2015 so he could sign a recording contract, standing right there so that he could hit me with this cryptic insult about Dr. Kevorkian when he should be locked up in jail for being there, for being anywhere 10 miles within wherever I'm standing. Just before I go, who protects me from all the put-downs in the street that I suffer as a result of irresponsible broadcasting? Irresponsible broadcasting that wants to take fans of my comedy or fans of my poetry and make them all reject me in favor of some creepy star who stole it so he could have sex. These creepy broadcasters are just as creepy when they support them, when they get the whole public to support their crime and reject the artist of a popular work. Who's protecting me from this? Because I see the same pattern repeating over and over and over for 11 years now. And 11 years ago I thought I heard someone say, oh, he suffered enough, when I first wrote Sighs. And then 8 years ago I could have sworn again I heard someone say, oh, he suffered enough, when I wrote Sighs for the second time. And what have I done for the last 8 years? Every day but report suffering after suffering. And who's protecting me from all of this unjust misery? The only one I can think of is God. And He's protecting me in a way that certainly is not very impressive to any of us.